Hello, everyone out there in Facebook land and TV land. Thanks for joining in to the Relief Talk Show. My name is Luanna Coward. I am one of the producers, and also we have our other producer here today.
Hi, Valerie Dixon. Welcome, everybody.
I'm really happy that you tuned in, but now it's the time to call someone else and tell them to tune in. You can go to Pittsburgh Community Television Facebook page and become a friend so they can join on this journey with us today, because we have a very, very, very interesting show today, and I'm just grateful for our guests, what we have here today too.
Yeah, we really want to talk a bit about some things. It's a difficult subject, but we know that you out there in your living room and the comforts of your own home, are not a lot of us are privy to go to see a therapist or a psychiatrist when we're dealing with something very intense, and we really don't know how that's impacting us if we're not dealing with it. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that conversation. And the Relief TV show, which stands for, of course, recognizing every lingering inward emotional
And that's what
feeling.
we're going to do today.
That's what we do.
We're going to go over some of that, all the different things what we have to recognize, because that stress and that anxiety, or all the different things that a person might go through. We're going to hear about it today from a professional.
Yes, and we're only the professionals for going through it, but not for knowing the science behind that, and a lot of studies that add to that knowledge and information. And we have our special guest that always comes to the show when we need her information to share with our audience. She's with us as well too.
But you have to add, she actually belong to both sides.
Yeah.
Because she know what it is to lose a child.
Yeah, she does.
As a murder victim.
2 children, as a matter of fact.
Our friend girl, she have done one for the team.
2.
Two
Actually,
for the team.
Unfortunately.
No, I'm talking about she went on to further her education.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, on this level of grief and all the different emotions,
Reaching many people with not only her own story, but with her expertise as well. And so what we would like for you to do is call a friend, to call a friend, and tell them to tune in. Somebody's out there that's suffering, most likely in silence, and we don't want that to happen to anyone. There are some ways we could walk through this journey of loss and grief, but to hold on to that stress and that energy is not good, not only for your mental state, but for your physical state as well.
Yes, and also if they happen to miss this Facebook Live, I want to also remind our viewers that you can go, if you live in the inner city of Pittsburgh, you can go to Comcast 21, Verizon 47 on our Tuesday night series that come on at 10 p.m. and you will see this show, if they miss it. And all of our previous shows, actually, but this is a show that you do not want to miss. So if your friend who you're calling can't get there, you tell them to tune in so they can see it on Comcast or Verizon on a Tuesday night for the inner city of Pittsburgh.
Definitely, and we want to dive straight into the information that we have, because it's a lot of information, and we want you to definitely have some knowledge of where you can go and what you can do if you are dealing with such things that you might hear today. One of the things we first want to do is talk about our Healing Rivers exhibit at the Center for Victims. This project was developed specifically for intergenerational healing for families, mostly African American community, that don't seek therapy traditionally. And so we were trying to find a way of how to develop something where they can say it's their own, and they can come to just to talk about basically what their journey has been, losing a loved one to violence. When you have the grandmothers and the sisters and the aunts and the cousins that are left behind in the community to take care of the rest of the family, the rest of the community, continue on with their children, their jobs, and different things like that. They need a support system, and we wanted them to know you can come and you don't have to have an assessment, and you don't have to be on a waiting list or anything like that. That this is a group that you can come to twice a month, first Wednesdays of every month and third Saturdays of every month, and share a meal as well as your story and as well as some of your concerns and issues, and just be around like people to get where you need to be in your wellness and your healing. And today our special guest has phenomenal knowledge about what we talk about on a regular basis when we just talk about simple things. He know how to put it in a aspect that makes sense to people, why you really, really need to probably reach out and seek help, but identify some of the issues that you're dealing with.
Valerie, I really think whatever our guests have to share today, somebody will be able to fit one of those categories or have experienced one of those categories, because it's such a broad thing. And it's like if you haven't, you at least know somebody that have. Our friend Tim Stevens always say, if you don't know, you know somebody that do know. So listen in, folks, and hey, get your pencils and pens if you have to, because it's going to be some good information given.
Yeah, and as you say, without further ado.
Without further ado.
We are very happy to introduce our guest, Dr. Bruce Rabin, and I am pronouncing that correct. Is that
That's
Rabin? To our show, a professor of pathology and psychiatry at the University of Pittsburgh, medical director of Division of Clinical Immunopathology. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to let you introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Because I can't even pronounce the work that he has done.
Yeah,
but we are so happy to have you here today. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
You and Ms. Geraldine Massey, our special guest therapist that attends our show and comes to our show and is a friend of Dr. Rabin's as well. Thank you both for being here today.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. And I'm really honored to be here and to be a part of all the wonderful work that you're doing. What I have done at the University of Pittsburgh and the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center for approximately the past 40 years, along with my colleagues around the world, is to study stress, to learn about stress, to learn about what stress does to our mental and our physical health, and to find ways to reduce the effect of stress on our mental and physical health. And what I'd like to do is take you on a journey of education and teach you some things so you'll have an understanding of some of the factors that influence who we become.
Yes.
And then I'd like to give you some things you can do to help yourself increase your ability to cope with stress. And what stress is, it's anything that your brain perceives, that you see, that you hear, that you experience, that exceeds the ability of your brain to cope with it. So what I mean is, your brain sees something, you hear something, and your brain considers whatever this is to be stress. And when that happens, there are parts of your brain that become activated. And when those parts of your brain become activated, they cause an elevation in the concentration of several hormones in your blood. And all of the health effects caused by stress are due to the elevation of these hormones. And if we use behaviors and techniques so that these brain areas don't become as active when we experience stress, our behavior and health is going to be better. So let me start with this. And this may be unpleasant for some people, but it's the reality. And it's something we have to be aware of. When does stress first affect us? And it affects us when we are a fetus, when we are in our mother's womb. If a pregnant woman experiences high levels of stress and can't keep her stress hormones low, those hormones will cross the placenta and will affect the developing brain of the fetus. And this is why I say to you, this can be upsetting, it's scary, but this is what happens. And when this occurs, there may be actual changes in the structure of the brain and in the function of the brain. So if we are going to make efforts to create a society and children who are better able to learn in school, whose behavior is better, whose health is better. We've got to start addressing the issue of pregnancy.
Right before, when it's all first begun.
Oh, yeah, before.
Like you said, in the fetus, right?
That's right.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
a child can be predisposed
That's
to
when
stress and
that's
trauma.
when healthy lifestyles begin, when you are in a fetus. And I'm going to tell you some things that a pregnant woman can do to lower the levels of stress. But what's important is that family members and friends say to the pregnant woman, hey, cool it, calm down, okay? Do some deep breathing.
I was going
okay?
to add to that because I know culturally that's one of the things I remember growing up is that if you were pregnant, everybody took care of you. Everybody wanted to make sure that you were happy, and so mothers and grandmothers would say, "She's pregnant, make her happy,
right.
give her what she wants, and let her be." So I didn't know the science behind that, so I'm hearing that now, and it makes sense that a happy mother makes a happy baby. A sad mother can make a sad baby. So I didn't connect that. All these years, who would have thought? But
And you see how smart people were, how our grandparents were. They observed, they knew. They didn't know why. But it's very difficult because so many young women are in tough situations,
Very much.
and this needs to be addressed.
It definitely does. It
This-
definitely does.
Then the second thing that is important, after a child is born, if the child is abused, and we're talking about physical abuse, striking a child, mental abuse, yelling at a child, telling them that they're stupid, you can't do anything right, what's wrong with you, you're such a problem, sexual abuse,
Of course.
and even neglect of children. Children who are exposed to this, again, these high levels of stress affect the structure of the brain, they affect levels of hormones that affect health, and unless we reduce the amount of abuse of children, children are going to grow up to be just like we are today, and we don't want that. We want healthier, calmer children.
You know what, doctor, I want to add, now when you say neglect, could you give us some forms of neglect? Because sometimes people think, well, I'm with my kids every day. I'm not neglecting them. Or they think, oh, I'll buy them everything. And they, break it down on a neglect part.
You need contact. You need to be hugged. You need physical contact. That, see, I was doing that.
Okay. Okay.
Let me give you a dramatic example of this. In many countries, when kids are born, the mother doesn't want them, they're put into an orphanage. And in those orphanages, they're put into a crib, and the only time they are held is when they are fed or their diaper is changed. The rest of the time, they are just lying there.
I was just talking about this.
These
today.
kids grow up with lots of emotional problems. Now, that's an extreme thing. But if you don't hold your kid, if you don't cuddle the kid, if you don't say to the kid, I love you, the kids are going to perceive this and feel neglect. And that is
Absolutely.
going to have an effect
Absolutely.
on the kids' mental and physical health.
You know what,
and
Dr. Bruce,
behavior.
what I hear you saying also too, including in the fetus and when a child even is born and neglect occurs, abuse occurs, what I hear happening also is a developmental delay in the brain process as well. And this continues on to adulthood, and people don't identify why they're, maybe 14, 15-year-old teenagers acting like a 7, 8-year-old.
exactly.
They don't understand the
Exactly.
developmental process of the brain is interrupted during these traumatic, stressful events.
Exactly.
Well, I'm a true believer. I feel like a lot of times in our communities, once the child grow into a teenager, then they grow into an adult, and then usually with the teenager thing, people say, "Oh, well, what's wrong with that person?" But we need to look at what happened to that person, and here it can all start from the beginning.
It does.
That's exactly
Most likely.
right. What was done to the
Exactly.
child?
What was
And
done.
that's the words that Oprah used. You have to know what was done to the child. So let me give you an example. A child who is abused, when they experience stress, they will become what we call a hyperreactor. They will react more rapidly. Their brain will react more rapidly, and this hormone will go up much more rapidly and quickly. Now, have you ever had the experience that somebody has said something to you that upset you, or somebody cut you off while you were driving? Did you ever say anything inappropriate or make a funny?
Sure.
Ain't gonna lie. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, why do you do that? And the reason you do that is as soon as your brain perceived whatever the stress was, this hormone goes up, and it interferes with your ability to focus and think clearly. And that's why you will do something inappropriate, and then you'll say, why did I do that? That's not me. Now, a child who has been abused, this occurs much more rapidly.
Wow.
And what happens is they can lose control, they can go into rage reactions, and you'll say, there's something wrong with that person. Well, it's what happened to the person.
That really
Unless we reduce abuse,
Yeah.
this is going to continue.
Yeah.
Well, that
Absolutely.
concerned me
Absolutely.
because once again, I'm stuck on the teenagers because a lot of our violence is spreading through with, with all this. And like you were saying, it started at the beginning, but then any little thing set them off. Like, when we were coming up, maybe it was different for us, I don't know, but it's like, now any little thing will set somebody off to take a person's life.
Exactly.
Any little thing. So it started all the way back there.
It can, and it could be,
Wow.
it could be one event, a series of events, or a set of circumstances. And so, also, one of the things that we're talking about too, when it's unaddressed, because we've all had
Yeah.
some traumatic
Yeah.
event or some stress or something. And when things are unaddressed and compound, complex things that has happened since baby and continue to happen, it's just an explosion ready to waiting to happen.
And it doesn't go away. This persists into adulthood. So let's now say this individual becomes a parent, and now they have children. If they lose control easily, if they have impulsive behavior, something upsets them, they lose control, who are they going to take it out on? On the child. They're going to yell at the child. They may hit the child. And so what is happening, it gets perpetuated. It gets passed to the next generation. And what we must do, we must work with parents. And Geraldine has been doing this when you were at the Center of Life, to help parents calm themselves when they get upset so that they don't act impulsively and take it out on a child.
Exactly.
What were some of the things that you practiced, like when you was going through that? When
Well,
you
well, what we did is we had Bruce come in, and Bruce did.
was... okay.
All right, so let's do this. And
So Bruce
let's-
came in and did a series of 6 sessions
Oh, great.
with my parents and taught them some skills to de-escalate themselves when they were feeling those things. But it's not a rocket scientist. It's very simple, and Bruce can break it down much easier than I can.
Oh, okay. Oh,
we're gonna do something right now.
okay.
Okay.
What happens when you experience stress and you get upset? We will hold our breath or decrease how deeply we're breathing. This is what happens when you experience stress. As soon as you do that, carbon dioxide goes up in your blood, and the brain starts to release these stress hormones. So the way you reverse that is you've got to get more oxygen into your blood. And the only way you can get more oxygen into your blood, you've got to take a deeper breath. And that's the whole thing about deep breathing. Doesn't matter if you breathe through your nose, if you breathe through your mouth. It does. So let's just do this, okay? Everybody out there and us here.
Yes.
Let's just do this. To take a deeper breath, what we have to do is push our belly out. So let's do that now. Let's all breathe in and push our belly out, and exhale, belly in. And let's take another deep breath. belly out, and exhale, belly in. And let's do a third deep breath. Breathe in, belly out, and exhale, belly in. How do you feel?
I can feel a little something, something.
I feel good, but you know what I wanted to share? When you said breathe in, belly out, why did my autonomic system want to hold my belly in when I breathed in?
Well,
It was.
that's why I said it, to make sure you didn't do that.
I got it on the second
Yeah,
one, but
I did too,
I
the second one. First one I was like,
What
yeah,
it does, within seconds, you will be calm. You will be able to think clearly. So what I would like you to do is, for everybody there, practice it. And then say to people in your family, say to people you care about, say to people you love. You know, there's a very simple thing that you can do to calm yourself when you are upset. And have them take 3, 4 deep breaths. And it is amazing how effective and how rapidly.
even if they get confused the first time.
Yes.
that's right.
Now the issue
practice.
is, that's right,
Exactly.
but the
Practice
issue
makes
is,
perfect.
when they need to do it, they won't remember to do it, because when you experience stress, you don't focus, you don't think clearly. So remind people in your family, tell other people when you see that they are under stress. Help each other, and it can make a meaningful difference.
I really like that, doctor. You know what? I'm going to try that in my car. Because in my car, I say names I never even say when I'm not even in my car. So I'm going to try that when I'm in my car. I'm going to challenge that. We're going to come back to the show again. I'm going to say, remember when we had that show on? And
I got
we
a
like
question.
breathing
I got
exercise.
to say in the morning. To do that in the morning, you think that'll give you a more boost on your start of your day if you kind of relax yourself
It
before
will,
you get
but
started?
there's something else I'd like you to do
Okay.
in the morning. Before you get out of bed, I'd like you to tell yourself something you like about yourself.
Oh.
Tell yourself something that makes you special. Before you get out of bed, the first thing you do, tell yourself something nice. You know, we start the day, we get up, oh, golly, gee, I've got to
Got to do
start
this.
the
My back
day
is hurt.
nicely.
Yeah.
First thing I do, I turn to my wife and I say, I'm sorry. See, I do that because I know I'm going to do something. So I just apologize first thing.
He's getting
In the
heads
morning.
up.
Just in case.
Yeah, right,
Okay,
right.
that's
Deep
good.
breathing. You know, if anybody has gone through Lamaze, you do deep breathing in Lamaze. And the reason is, not only does it calm you, but it reduces your perception of pain. So it makes labor easier.
Yeah, if you're concentrating on doing an homage, you don't think about, I mean, that's how I got through one of mine, yeah.
Yeah, if you have joint pain, if you've got aches and pains, do a little deep breathing, but never take more than 5 deep breaths, because
Oh,
you
wait.
may get a little dizzy. So let me tell you a little
Aches
story.
and pains, I got them. I'm gonna try something
And
tonight.
I tell you this because I have permission. Mr. Rogers gave me permission to tell this story. I got a call one day that he was upset about something, and I went down to the studio and thrilled, of course, to meet him, and I taught him deep breathing, and he said it was, you know, very effective. Next morning, my phone rang, and I answered it, and it was Mr. Rogers, and he said, I have a problem. And I said, what's the problem? I got scared. He said, I got dizzy, and I almost fell down, and I forgot to tell him no more than 5 deep breaths.
Wow.
So one of the things that we can do is deep breathing, but the issue of parents have got to control their behavior. Parents have got to reduce impulsive behaviors and realize that when you yell at your child, when you hit your child, when you tell your child they're stupid, they can't do anything right, these have long-term effects. and you want your children to grow up being healthy, doing well in school, not having a lot of health problems, having friends, being socially interactive. And let me just say something about social interaction. One of the very effective stress buffers that reduce the effect of stress on the brain is to have friends, is to have people to talk to, is to have people to do things with. The issue is loneliness. So I want to point out, if you are alone and not lonely, that's okay. But remember that even if you are with people, you can be lonely.
Yes.
Oh, we
And
know that.
if you are lonely,
I know that.
when you experience stress, you will have a greater elevation of the stress hormones. Now, I want to mention difference between men and women in regard to social interaction. Women have friends. If you've got a problem, something personal, you can talk to another woman about it. If you're a man and you talk to a friend, somebody you consider a friend, about something personal, the usual response is, oh yeah, well, how do you think Roethlisberger's going to do this year? Men don't like to talk about personal things. And this is an important issue. Women, because they can talk about personal things with each other, do much better in handling stress. Men have acquaintances, they don't have friends. Men need a lot of support, and men are very reluctant to come in for help, to talk to somebody when they have problems. And I just want to emphasize to men, it doesn't mean you're weak, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you.
Exactly.
Men need support just like women. And if there are organizations, Center for Victims, you need to go and talk to somebody. Don't be afraid.
And going back to the children, though, I was listening to what you said about the children need friends, and everybody need a friend. But what concerned me now, knowing how this thing can start all the way from before they even get into this world, let alone the things they meet after they're into this world, a lot of our youngsters in our society now, by not getting that love and, you know, having that structure, that's what sent them out and find the wrong friends, you know, and that's the sad part, because they don't feel loved. They come out with issues, and then they go out into the community, and you know, that's the sad part to me. As I was listening to you, and I know that sometimes, you know, if they have all these issues already going on, they think they got friends, but they don't, you know. So what about a youngster find themselves being led in a certain way? You know, they trying to fill this void of that love what they didn't get. So what would you say to a youngster out there today that maybe can relate to some of this, what you're saying about how they feel with anger and getting, you know, all the different emotions? What would you recommend for them? Because, I mean, they searched the streets or whatever, the communities, but they found out in the middle of the sea that they was with the wrong friends. So what could they do?
What I would ideally like to see happen is that the gang leaders, the gang members, understand that their behavior has been affected by early life issues. That think, do you want your children to be like you? Do you want your children to grow up in a safer society, having a better quality of health, to be a person who can be meaningful in life and so that your children can help others be well? This is how I'm answering your question, that the individuals who are leading behaviors that are harmful to others, please understand that a lot of what you do is because of what happened to you.
Yes.
And please feel responsible for the next generation. Help the next generation be better. And by doing this, you yourself are going to feel better. What makes life meaningful? And what makes life meaningful is doing things for other people. If you're engaged in behaviors that are harmful to others, does that really make you feel good? Wouldn't it be better to say, I have helped create an environment, a community that is safer, where kids can walk outside, where kids are learning in school, where kids are going to have a chance for jobs? What is going to make society better? It's going to be jobs, job opportunities. It's going to be money in the community so people can work, so people have jobs, so kids are taken care of, so daycares are well run and kids are treated well in daycare. Everybody has to contribute to this. If we don't, we're only going to replicate what is taking place. And hopefully, you do want things to get better for your children, for your grandchildren, for the coming generations.
Thank you, Doctor. That was
Thank you.
well put. That
Yeah,
was well
laid
put.
it out.
Because I know a lot of young people that are going down that path. Some of the people that we see doing that work now in the community once led that path themselves, and they were able to make it through, thank God, so that they are adults and see the harm that they cause. And you see a lot of those young people or those little older people that now have changed their life and have seen the damage they've caused and have tried to start nonprofits and different organizations like that. And so to be able to reach back to those young people, those same young people that feel that other people outside of their world don't understand what they're going through, you know, those are the key ones that come back and pull them out. It's almost like I always say, you know, like the AA and NA groups, you know, when they go to those groups, they feel these people understand. So if they can get well, so can I through them, you know, and to see more people making it through that gang life, that clit life, that set life that they are living out there, that just creating chaos and havoc and danger, seeing people that made it through and want to reach back, those are usually the ones that can mostly pull them out of that life or show them something different or know what the inroads are for them to get there. And I think those type of organizations really need to support so that more of those people can come forward to help more of those people get out.
That's such an important message, that absolutely role models, we need role models. We need to have people who are living lives that are productive, that are meaningful, that are helping others so we can learn to be like them. Remember, when a child is born, they don't know right from wrong. Where do they learn their behaviors from? They learn their behaviors from the people they love. And if the people they love are negative, are saying, don't trust anybody, watch out for people, what kind of behaviors are those kids learning?
Exactly. Go wrong.
Adults need to say to kids, trust people. These are people we like. We have friends. We do things with people. We support our community. We pick up trash on the street. We clean up empty lots. We do things to make things better. If the kids are learning that, that's what they're going to be like.
Exactly.
You know, that's good. This is it's good with a kid and a grown up. I'm just saying from my experience, because you know, it's all about a loss, whether you lose or a kid or just lose a person, lose yourself in society. But nevertheless, I have met some mothers, and I wanted to know what like had lost. Maybe they lost an older brother or lost somebody to violence, but then they got these younger ones coming up. Now, everybody don't take it. It can either make you or break you. So some mothers will say, on a negative level because they feel hurt and, hurt. They always say, like, hurt people, like to hurt people. So some mothers, their child will come up saying, with that mentality of whatever the mother is carrying, because, like, forget the police or, you know, just say it's like a negative drop down to the child, where it said, "Oh, don't like those people because those people this or that." You know, how do a person?
So, Luana, just like when we're babies and we get that trauma, we also have trauma from being enslaved. We were enslaved. The Jewish community was ostracized and murdered and mass numbers. So that trauma comes into our genes too.
Okay.
So even if the mother hasn't had a lot of violence in her life, there's some stuff that's been changed in her DNA just from her parents or her ancestors going through slavery.
And it's passed down.
Yes.
Going through slavery. So
generation.
we got to recognize and start educating, as Bruce said, educating our young people that our DNA has already been changed. We don't need to change it anymore to promote any more violence than we already have experienced. We need to try to eradicate what has happened, and by doing that, by loving each other and treating each other with dignity and respect, and that will help the DNA start to, like, oh, okay, we're being nurtured. It's, you know, so instead of being, you know, feeling that trauma, you feel the nurture. So it's education. It's teaching them
The
what
right
it-
way.
The right way, so that
Right
so that even the mothers don't even understand why they're so hateful. You know.
Well, they feel that they have a right because they had somebody murdered. You know, like, you know, I mean, I'm going off.
Well, they're
script, I'm
stuck
just
in
saying,
their anger,
They
right,
get
they're
stuck
stuck in
there.
their
That's what my
anger,
concern.
right, 'cause
They
anger
get
is a part
stuck
of grief.
there with that anger, and it like trickled down to
But it's
the
additional,
other.
on top of that traumatic event.
Yeah.
They've already suffered traumatically,
And then-
generationally.
So that's an
Exactly.
You
add-on.
know, so that's just another
So
add-on.
that can make it so hard. So is that
Oh, my
according to, that's going back to what Dr. Bruce said. So I guess according to how this nurturing started at the beginning, have a great impact after you get up the road and some other things happen too. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
No
Because
question.
because I know I was one of those mothers. I was reading to my baby before it was even born. Like,
Yeah, and that's a good
but it was
thing.
some mothers that maybe it was an unwanted pregnancy, and like he said, when they was stressing out, you know, they had a lot of. I didn't really have too much of stress.
And you
when
know,
I was-
Dr. Bruce, in your vast career, you know, your work has been referenced by the scientific community. You've had over 300 publications. I mean, you know what you're talking about. Your data, your research.
He did a lot of
and
stuff. I read that.
a lot of the things are, people think it's, you know, some sort of rocket science, or you have to go to NASA in order to reverse trauma. But it's literally some simple things, literally, that you can do on a daily basis to relieve yourself of the stress. Because what you're saying is, not only you have traumatic events in your life, it builds the stress, those cortisols, adrenalines, and all those things pumping through your body. And if that doesn't have anywhere to release, it's going to internalize and start to work on your organs. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Absolutely. I'm going to give you one word, and the word is kindness. Be kind to people. If you're kind to people, they will be kind to you. Practice kindness. On your block where you live, talk to people, interact. Somebody needs a ride to the doctor. Help each other out. Do things that are kind, and this will spread. Another thing you can do is smile.
True.
Put a big smile on your face. And there's actually effects on the brain that helps to lower these
I
hormones.
believe that.
Smile.
To the person who's receiving your smile. Sometimes a person just needs somebody to smile at them, make
That's
their whole
right.
day.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid if you're smiling, somebody may say to you, "What are you, not smiling?"
Oh, yeah,
Smiling
yeah,
all the
yeah.
time," And they do that.
Yeah,
Why you
yeah,
so
yeah,
happy?
yeah. That could
You
happen.
want to smile. You want to be kind. You
Right.
want to be examples for the kids, for the next generation. Let's talk about a couple health issues. Let's talk about high blood pressure. Okay? Something which occurs in the community. One of the causes of high blood pressure is an elevation of stress hormones. If you do some of the things to keep these hormones low, blood pressure will come down.
Get your
Let's-
pencil and paper.
Let's talk about diabetes, okay?
Yes.
Black
Look at my
community,
pencil,
with
baby.
so much diabetes. Stress causes difficulty in managing diabetes. If you get your stress hormones low, management of diabetes is going to be easier. You're going to be healthier.
I believe that.
Wow.
I believe that.
The loss of control we've talked about, how you can go into a rage reaction. A lot of this is related to early life abuse. There's another buffering factor, and that is religion. Individuals who enjoy, and the key word here is enjoy. You have to enjoy participation
Yes.
in religious activities. And if you do, your response to stress will be lower. And religion provides a number of ways that stress responses are reduced. And one of the wonderful ways is because when you go to a place of worship, you're with people you like. You're with
Fellowship.
friends, you're with other people. That social interaction
Yes.
that religion provides is wonderful.
100%.
If anybody has a disease called an autoimmune disease, well, let me skip that because, all right, let me just, this is February, what?
26.
26, 2020, and the coronavirus is of
Yes.
great concern.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you are under stress, your immune system is less capable of fighting off viral infections. So if I want to make this timely, let me
Yes.
just say, it's very important to keep your stress hormones low so your immune system will work better. And one of the recommendations now is to get the flu immunization. If you have a lot of stress and you get the flu immunization, you are going to make less of a response than if you can keep your stress hormones low. So very quickly, let's say, what do you want to do to keep your stress hormones low? You want to do deep breathing. You want to spend time and enjoy being with friends.
Yes.
You want to be physically active. You want to get out and walk. And you don't have to walk 5 miles. Walk around the block. Just get out. Well, it's raining today. But go to a mall. Go somewhere where you can walk. Laugh. Having the ability to laugh lowers stress hormones because what humor does, it activates a part of the brain that suppresses the stress hormones. So right now, what I would like everybody to do is create an imaginary box in your head.
Oh, boy.
Just create this imaginary box. Now, think of something that you find funny and put it into the box.
Miss Barry. Miss Barry.
Put something funny into that box.
We used to like start laughing.
And then when you get something funny in that box, just store it away somewhere in your head.
So I can pull it back again.
That's right. Now when you are under stress, you've got something funny there. Go to that box, take out the funny
All
thing
right.
you've put there, and all you do is think about it.
Uh-huh.
And as soon as you think about it, you will drop the concentration of stress hormones. So we can breathe, we can use humor, friends, enjoying participation in religious activities.
Yes.
There are many things
Yes.
that we can do. The issue is doing them. And so it's extremely important that within a family, you work together, you help each other, you remind each other to use these techniques to help keep their concentration of stress hormones low. And
Yes.
what I will do, if you can get email addresses of people, I will send them a 42-page thing which we've written. It's free, you have it, which has all of this information and the techniques. There are other techniques
Okay.
that can be used that are very, very helpful for lowering the concentration of stress hormones. But the goal is to become a role model so other people will want to be like you.
Well, doctor, maybe it would be feasible that if you could give out your email, and if they want it, they can email you and you can connect with them that way. Would that be okay?
Or you have a podcast, I believe. Is that
Oh,
correct?
yeah, this here podcast.
Yeah,
would
no,
they
no,
be-
it's something different.
That's
But no,
something
if
different,
anybody, if
okay.
anybody wants to email me and I
Yes.
will send it to them, it's very, very simple. It's just my initials, bsr@pitt.edu.
Oh, okay.
BSR.
That's easy.
Well, I was at Pitt when email came out. And you can tell when somebody's been there a long time because their email is very simple. Let me just say what this is. There is another technique, and we call it guided imagery. And guided imagery is something that you listen to. And
That
you
you're
just
listening to
do
mental
what it
journey?
says. Yep. You go on, it takes you on a trip. Now, what is being shown on the screen is where you can get this guided imagery, our guided imagery. And all you do is log on to or put in healthylifestyle.podbean.com. And you will then get, and you download it to your phone. The only difficult thing is it's got my picture there, and you've got to look at it.
It's a good
But
picture, though.
if you do this, if you go to that site, put it onto your home screen, and there are several guided imageries to listen to. The one that I find most effective is the last one on the list. It's called Mental Journey. And all you do is you just touch the little arrow and it will play.
Allow yourself to get comfortable. in a
And I don't know
seated
if you
or
can
lying
hear
down
it.
Position.
But listen to
If you are
this.
seated,
It takes about
uncross your
10
legs.
minutes.
Okay.
And what will happen, you will calm down all the stress reactive areas in the brain. Your blood pressure will drop, your heart rate will slow down. You've listened to this. Do you want to say?
I was just getting ready to say, I was getting dressed one day last week, and something came on the news that really, really like flipped me out. I don't usually watch the news, but I turned that on because I have it on my phone because I needed to. Like I was running around the house, I was ready to like tear something up. I had not been in this agitated state for a while, and so
It happens.
I sat down, I listened to that and started breathing and listened to the guided imagery, and before I knew it, I was feeling like, oh, like what had me in that state? Like I didn't even remember what it was that got me there. Like I had just totally immersed myself in relaxation, and so I am real. I'm a fan of guided imagery. We had a therapist at the center. Her name was Mary Volkar. And Mary would take us through, staff and her clients, anytime we needed to like really reduce our stress. It is so important to reduce the stress level. I liken it to a water balloon under a faucet.
Me
That
too.
you can hold it there.
That's exactly what I was
That's
saying.
all, I use it all the time. You hold that water balloon there, and that balloon, and you're filling it with water, and it's filling it with water, and it just goes and goes, and eventually
gonna
it
buzz.
erupts.
Yeah.
And that's what happens to us, and it could be our heart,
That's
our brain, our blood vessels. It could be our liver. It could be our kidneys. It could be our gallbladder. It could be any
So
of our
stress
organs.
actually
Heals.
can affect the organs in
Yes.
your body.
Stress-
basically.
yes.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Let me just mention the heart, because you mentioned the heart. When your stress hormones are elevated, cholesterol accumulates more rapidly in the blood vessels of the heart. So the development of atherosclerotic heart disease is accelerated.
Wow.
If you can keep your stress hormones low, doing the things we are talking about, cholesterol will come out of the blood vessels of the heart and they will become wider. And when you want to start doing that, not after your heart attack, you want to start doing it now.
Wow.
Have you ever heard of anybody experiencing stress and dropping dead of a heart attack?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here's what happens. Right now in your blood, there's tiny little things floating around. They're called platelets, and their purpose is when you have a cut, they stop the bleeding. When your stress hormones go up, these platelets stick together. They form clumps. And if a clump of these platelets comes to a narrowed blood vessel in the heart, it will plug it up, and that will be the heart attack. And there's the person who experiences stress and has died of the heart attack. And if that doesn't scare you into wanting to do these things, nothing.
Exactly. Exactly. What's that app again? I'm on that app on my phone right now.
Hey, doctor, now you were saying about platelets. Like, suppose a person is going through an illness and they can't produce platelets. You know, they have to go and get them or whatever like that. You know, sorry to have to do something like that, but maybe that's what they have to do. Now, when they get stressed, what happens then? I
Well,
mean, 'cause they have to go and actually get platelets.
Yeah, no,
you know what I
that's
mean?
a situation
So
where
how
the
would
cells
that
in the
happen?
bone marrow that produce platelets have been damaged, and that's not a stress related.
So when they get stressed,
When-
would they be
It-
affected in some kind of way? I mean, it
Well,
could
they're
hap-
going to be affected in ways, but not in the production of
Okay,
blood
okay,
platelets.
okay.
Yeah, that's usually somebody receiving chemotherapy
Yeah.
for a leukemia or
And they're under a lot of stress, so they have
That's
to
what I'm saying.
find-
They stress, you know what I
Right,
mean?
and they
having
have
to do that look like that would produce a lot of stress.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Diseases that are affected by stress, anybody has ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis. You know that when you are under stress, your disease gets worse. And the reason it gets worse is because the stress hormones allow the immune system to be more vigorous in attacking the body. So if you have one of these diseases, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, psoriasis, multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, and you start to do the things to keep your stress hormones low, the course of the disease will be less severe. You'll have less remissions. You'll handle the disease much better. Diabetes, lower your stress hormones, you'll have better control of your diabetes, less risk of a heart attack. You'll actually grow more brain cells. When your stress hormones are low, you grow more brain cells. And who doesn't want to do that?
Oh, goodness. We
yes,
need some
I do.
brain cell growing
I
going
know.
on out there.
I can witness to what he said because I actually had, you know, I deal with diabetes and I deal with high blood pressure. But I noticed myself once I began to, like you said, get in a religious atmosphere, that really helped me to kind of, and you know what? My diabetes started getting better. My high blood pressure, I'm a little bit, now I still get upset, but not like I was, because my brother had told me, he called from a distance, he's like in another state, and when I was going through these things, he said, you have to calm down, and I thought, oh. he just
And
want me
now
to be
you know
still.
why.
And now you just confirmed that. I mean, he said, the stress, that's stress, you know, and he was
It's
saying,
causing mood,
everything you said here, you just confirmed what my brother who been in the army all his life had told me. You know,
Look,
and that was
didn't our
affecting me.
grandmother say, take a deep breath and calm down?
Yeah, take a deep breath.
Laughter is the best medicine.
It is.
They knew
It
through
is.
observation.
Exactly.
Millions of dollars were spent on the research to find out why, but they knew why.
Well, you know what?
It's hard to
Dr.
learn
Bruce?
anything new.
I mean, it's just been phenomenal to be able to have this conversation with you
yeah.
today. Because a lot of times, you know, we'll talk about, and I don't want to say the superficial part of grief and loss and things like that, but when you bring the scientific aspect into the conversation,
Yeah.
then people could actually tie things together.
Like a puzzle,
Because at some time,
yes.
they might not be feeling the emotional piece that we're sharing, you know, about our loss or different things like that and how we've been feeling. But when you bring in that next level aspect to it, it starts to connect the dots, and I'm sure it has for a lot of our
A lot of
viewing
people.
audience today. And if you can do nothing but, you know, absorb what you've heard today and take it step by step. Don't try to just take it all in at once because it'd probably be overwhelming.
Don't be
But,
like Mr.
you know,
Rogers where he
Don't be like Mr. Rogers,
Yeah.
take your time.
But,
Start with your breathing. Start with, the opportunity to share this information with other people. Look into some, you could read different documents and go on the website, find some things that actually can get you back to doing just some of the simple things in life. If it's walking, if it's gardening, if it's swimming, it could be something that you used to do before you remember all the stress coming into your life,
You always-
right?
you always say
dancing,
that.
dancing like
Ah.
nobody's watching.
Yes.
Yep.
Dancing like no one's
This
watching.
one would know.
Well, yes. It's what helped me. I
Yes.
dance in the morning and I dance when I go home. I don't care how tired I am. I put some music on and I dance. And I shake it all off, and along with my guided imagery. So dancing, exercise doesn't have to be, like he said,
We don't
5
use the
miles.
word exercise. We use the word physical activity.
Activity. There you
Physical
go.
activity.
You want to
I
be
like that.
active. Do you exercise? No. Are you physically active? Yes.
Yes.
Choice of words is important. Cleaning the house. That's physical activity.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
That's wonderful.
It is.
Anything you do.
It is.
Well,
It
we
is.
want to thank you for coming and clean the house, and that go right to our title, recognizing every lingering inward emotional feeling, and cleaning the house is just a good topic to put on top of that.
And
But I
when you
just,
utilize
thank
that
you for
energy
coming.
cleaning in your house, and you first you dread it thinking about it, but when you do it, you did it in a snap.
Yeah, you're
Before you
doing
know it,
this,
it's all
just
gone.
gone, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I was
Next
thinking
thing
more
you know-
about this house here.
Oh, internal
I
house
was
and
thinking about this
external
house. This house up here, Yeah, but
all
all
the
houses.
houses.
All the houses.
But no, Doctor,
Can
I
I
really
just say
appreciate.
something?
Yeah, we got to wrap it up.
This has been an honor to spend time with these 3 amazing women. And these are 3 fantastic role models that can teach people lifestyle. And if everybody would be more like the 3 of you, what a wonderful society
Well, thank
we
you,
would
Chris.
have.
Thank
And
you.
thank you
Four of
for
us. How
inviting
about
me.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
honored to
yeah,
have,
you,
I'm honored to
Doctor.
have him
Really
because he
appreciate
really
it.
helped. He helped me sitting right next to him, and I hope that he helped you out there. And nothing more. We're gonna have to wrap up our show today. But if you would like to be a guest on this show, not today's show, because we got this here, doctor here today breaking it all down. But no, if you would like to be a guest on a Relief Talk show, please contact me. Email me LueAnacoward or the other producer, Valerie
Yeah, you
Dixon.
can contact me, vdixon.curry, Currie, @gmail.com. And we also have some contact information on our website, as well as if you have an unsolved homicide out there, please definitely contact our show so we can utilize the opportunity to have your loved one on a billboard in the community that you feel will most effectively impact trauma and stress and relieve some stress so that we can get some of these killers off the street as well.
Yes, and once again,
Thank
we're
you.
going to say thank you, Geraldine.
Thank
Bessie.
you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thank you,
I'm always
Doctor.
privileged to
Bruce.
be here.
Yes, yes, and that
Please
is
come
our
back
show
to-
for today, and
Thank
I
you.
hope that
Okay.
they could come back again. Geraldine is always, okay, I'll be there, and I appreciate
Yes.
that. I appreciate that, but I learned a lot today, and I hope you all, learned some things that you didn't know. And keep them, and maybe share this with someone else so our community can get better.
Thank you.
With that, we're going to say good night and God bless.